Good. Kidderminster Harriers fans podcast, episode 24. And after a dreadful first half, Murray made changes and they paid off against Curzon yesterday. 3 points, clean sheet, and a headache for training for team selection for Tuesday. We've drafted in another podcast star in Nick Hatton from Everywhere We Go. Kiddy are massive. But before we start, can we all give Adam Murray a little wave and say, "Hey, Adam," because I spoke to him and he said he's not watched it yet, but he plans to. So he could watch this one. We never know. So welcome, Nick Hatton. Nick, it's great to have you on with us.
Thank you.
I'd love to get your thoughts on yesterday's first half only, please, because there's a lot.
First half only.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wrote some notes. Poor, passive,
Is that it, Paul?
lacking confidence, basically lacking confidence to play any incisive forward pass. Nobody had time on the ball. Defense looked fragile, struggled with the movement. And the only forward passes were basically balls into the channels, which were generally overhit or didn't stick at all.
Yeah,
It was just rubbish. That's the polite way of saying it. It was really, really bad.
it was really, really bad. Nick, tall Nick, anything to add there, friend?
About the first half.
Yeah,
Only thing I've sort of noticed, I was sat quite close to Nick actually. I was quite low down towards the dugout because I wanted to sort of get a different vantage point and just to see what the dynamic of the bench and the staff are because I sit on the east stand at home games. I thought Spencer was a really strong number nine, real big outlet for them in the first half. I thought he
yeah,
pinned us quite well. He gained territory for Curzon, and I actually found that most of the play was in their half in that sort of first 35, 40 minutes. And I think that's what we were sort of lacking, really. We just couldn't get the ball to stick up there. And I felt like my face was just turned to the left hand side.
there was no
As
Wimbledon
I,
effect, no Wimbledon like that, none of
no,
that.
no, no. I thought Seb made some nice little movements into pockets of space, but I don't know whether Joe was a little bit apprehensive to sort of just fizz that nice little ball into his feet. I thought was quite unlucky to be taken off actually at half time. I thought he was probably
Yeah.
the only attacking threat that we had. And yeah, that was it. Kurt Willoughby on throw-ins was something that I've got as notes as the first half that sort of stood out to me as a bit bizarre.
Bit mad, bit mad.
So yeah, that was kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Adigan looked as if he was playing in second gear, and look, really decisive for Murray to get him off after sort of 30 minutes. It's a big decision that for a player that ultimately has put a lot of faith in Adam and the project because he's moved
mm.
from where he lives to come and be part of it. So to hook him after 30 minutes, knowing that that conversation has happened, shows a nice bit of decisiveness from Adam. So yeah, that was my overview, boys.
I,
So
I, sorry,
yeah,
Wes. I mean, I don't know. I spotted where you were sitting as well, Nick. I don't know how much you could hear of what was being said on the bench, but Adigan put the ball out of play, didn't he, within the first 2 minutes or so? And Adam Murray turned to his bench, sloppy, sloppy. And the amount of times any time Adigan made a mistake, he'd turn to his bench and there'd be some sort of expression, wouldn't there? And
Mm.
yes, I mean, it is odd to see a substitution that early in the game that isn't an injury. But it also wasn't a surprise to me, given the sort of
Mm.
reaction that Adam Murray was giving every time Adigan was sloppy and just not at the races.
so
It's fascinating, but sorry, Wes.
let me just chat a little bit now. My podcast, no, I'm kidding. Right, so the thing was, Adam Murray, I chatted to him before the game, and he was really nice, and we had really good chat actually. I asked him some questions, he asked me some questions, which I thought was really, really, really kind of him. He spent 10 minutes with me, which was brilliant. So that was Bing one. Bing two was when he took Adigan off in the 30. It was the 33rd minute. I had my watch. I was counting, and I just thought to myself, that just is decisive. I mean, that's ruthless. And he wasn't even playing well at all, Adigan. So has he gone from Adigan to Adigon? What do you reckon to that one, boys? Come on, took me ages to think of that. What do you reckon?
Um, I, I don't think he's gone. I think I wonder if Murray is sort of looking this as a kick up the backside more than anything for Adigan, and sort of a way of saying to him, ultimately, if you're not going to go out there and perform, you're not going to put in the yards, and you're not going to play in the way that we've asked, you will get pulled off. You will be, I don't want to say an example of, it's probably not the right term, but it was a very decisive substitution. And I mean, I didn't make it to the game, unfortunately, but listening to Hereford and Worcester, and a shout out to those guys again, did a brilliant job. I sort of felt like they were getting frustrated with Adigan as well. And you almost heard the relief in their voices when they realised that there was a substitution going to happen. They sort of said, Murray sort of span round, spoke to Riley, and suddenly Riley was up getting warmed up. And I think everybody sort of felt it. My hope is, I agree with what you said, Nick. It's a big change for Adigan to have kind of upheaved his life all the way up here. But my hope is that he will learn a lesson from that. But I do wonder how much of this, we've talked a lot about it through this week, about the fact that it is that step up from the National League South to the National League North.
Yeah.
And I do wonder if Adigan is really struggling with that change.
I think he gets flattened by defenders more, to be fair. I think that's something you because the South is a little bit about, a bit of showboating, a bit pick and pack. I've never really watched the South game, so I don't really know, but this is what I've been told. So when the subs came at half time and Murray changed the formation because he had AMS up front with Willoughby, and the motivation from AMS was there for everyone to see, and he was just interested. He just wanted to get in the game, wanted to get involved with the game, and it was brilliant to see. But I think probably apart from that, the best one was Pierce Bird, because he just came out, and I'm going to swear now. He against Spencer, he gave him the most ultimate shithousery the whole second half, and honestly, he was putting him off. He was in his ear all of the time, and it was great to watch. So the second half, Nick Hatton. Where do you think we won that second half?
Well, this is a really interesting point for me, because as soon as that halftime whistle went, normally you'd expect the manager to go down the tunnel with his players, but Murray and all the backroom staff basically stayed in the dugout for 6 minutes, possibly 7 minutes, all around a tactics board, all discussing what they were going to do next. They were there, deep in conversation. Everybody was having an input as well as to what they were going to do. So the players were in the dressing room for half the halftime break, effectively, waiting for Murray to come in. And I knew what the substitutions were going to be, because those three players had taken basically got their shirts ready to come on. But the sort of the discussions between the backroom staff as to how they were going to play in the second half, I found fascinating, that they were doing that in the dugout, away from the players, having a proper, what are we going to do, guys, kind of thing. And ultimately it worked in the end. And as you said, the three changes, obviously Pierce Bird was a big influence in that second half. Innocent off to left wing back. Divine was hooked, but Pierce Bird was great aerially. He was great on the deck as well. Yeah. A positive defensive outlet coming forward. And Spokes obviously won the game for us as well. He was a massive difference. Brought Candola into the game more, I thought. I think he gave Cam a lot more time. Cam was brilliant in that second half. The amount of challenges that he put in, good with the ball as well. And obviously AMS does what he does. The ball stuck up top finally, and three changes at halftime made the difference ultimately. And we talk about team changes for the next game, but if it's a different 11 starting on Tuesday night, I'd be very surprised.
Do you think we will go with 3-5-2 on Tuesday? I'll be there. Oh my God, I'll be there. Do you think we'll go with 3-5-2, and do you think Spokes will get a starting berth, Tornick?
I'm not sure. I think, Adam's mentioned in previous interviews that, this league requires a different set of skills, to quote a very famous actor.
Yeah.
And I think that he's tried to put that together as part of his team. And so I just don't know. I'm not quite sure I know enough about Adam's kind of selection process or patterns to know what he will do. I think 3-5-2 is the formation that best suits the group of players that we've currently got, if we are going to have any sort of forward momentum. I think, we've had Kurt now up front as a solo striker for some time. It hasn't worked yet, on the basis that he hasn't scored a goal and he hasn't really probably had a huge amount of chances. And from the Adam Murray interview in the week, in the pre-match, we're not really getting in that XG territory which he spoke about, and being really data-led. So I think if we're going to try and get the best out of Kurt, we probably do need to get another player alongside him. That looks like being AMS at this moment in time, which is good. I thought he had a really positive impact yesterday, like the lads have said. And that sort of Spencer thing in my head for the first half almost disappeared, because we were kind of able to match that up, which I thought was good. And I really, hats off to the manager this week, because I thought against Leamington, his substitutions negatively impacted the game. I thought this time was the complete opposite of that. Um, So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think Pierce Bird should absolutely be in that starting 11.
Gotta be.
Spokes, from what I've seen of him, has a long range shot, and we didn't really register many attempts on goal yesterday. I counted two, I think it was. Riley Reynolds had a pretty tame shot down the middle, and then obviously the goal itself. So let's see. Kurt looked incredibly frustrated when he came off yesterday. I think it must be really difficult for him to
Yeah.
be running channel after channel after channel, making sharp movements, chasing down, realistically not doing what he probably since a child has wanted to do, which is score goals. And you could see it in his face yesterday when he came off. He's almost like, how long is it going to, almost how long is it going to be? Like, we're not getting the best out of him, and we need to, or it's just not going to be the kind of season we need,
He needed his
surely.
he needed his mate Mooney back, didn't he? Absolutely. And
Yeah,
I think Mooney might be back for Macclesfield. I think he'll definitely make the bench for Macclesfield. Because I was speaking to Murray and he said, yeah, he's running again. And I said, running for
that's
Moon.
good.
He was like, no, he's training. I was like, okay, fine. That's
Can I
fine.
just
So
make a
yeah,
quick? Can I just make one quick final
of
point?
course you
Sorry,
can. Of
Wes.
course you can.
Just on that. I think if I'm Adam, and I'm not saying this is the case of what he's doing, but Mooney had such a positive impact on us both pre-season. Okay, look, it's 8 minutes against Scarborough, but he flew out the blocks, didn't he? Probably one
Mm,
of the reasons he got his injury.
yeah,
I'm not saying Murray is doing this, but I think if I'm in Murray's head, I'm almost just trying to mitigate the damage, manage the next couple of games until Mooney's back, and then it's like, right, I've got a new signing. We're not
yeah,
completely out of the title race. That has to be the objective. And I think to be still in the mix, we kind of need probably 3 points from the next two difficult games
yeah.
against Kingsland and Macclesfield. But I do think he's almost just got to minimise the damage, get those attacking players back in. Potentially one goes out, one goes in terms of a new signing, and then it's like, okay, I'm still in the game, I'm still in the race.
But you got TSS as well here. You got No Show in there as well. No Show Silver.
Yeah, he's
Um,
in.
which he got his nickname from not showing up for the interview. But anyway, Dan, 2 wins in a row, my friend. You must be like, yeah, baby.
Well, I mean, it's great to see, but I think that there are some big concerns with the attacking threat that we aren't posing, I guess is the right way of saying it. As you guys know, I've really sort of looked at Willoughby this week and done some comparisons with him to um, players around the league that are scoring goals, most notably a guy at Kings Lynn, and also had a good look at South Shields as well. And the movement that Willoughby has off the ball is great, and you can see he is making space for himself. And in particular, I had a really good look at the Leamington game, and I sort of analysed balls into the box, etc. And he makes space for himself, and if he gets the right ball, he is going to score. There's no two ways about it. So for me, I feel like we're just lacking on service. We really are lacking on balls into the box. The own goal in particular, Seb's ball was really difficult to deal with. But actually, when you look at the position of where Willoughby had moved himself to, Seb's ball was going nowhere near him. And we were kind of lucky the defender sort of kind of swung at it like he did, and it ended up in the back of the net. And I just feel that's the bit that needs to click. We've been sort of thinking or certainly I have, that, well, we need to be thinking about sort of how we're moving the ball forward, but it's also that ball into the box as well that just isn't coming off at the moment. So I'm sure Adam's working on that in training. I'm sure he's doing a lot with that service, but everything seems to either be under hit or over hit, and we just haven't found that rhythm yet with delivering the balls in the box. But I do believe that when it clicks, Willoughby will start scoring goals. I think he looks like he's a goal scorer. We've just got to give him the service.
He also has a really great tan, Dan. And I don't know where that comes from, but do you know what I mean? Does he not live in the West Midlands or
Did you not notice Mooney had a tan as well? And I
it's
wonder if,
weird.
there's a
I'm
bit
not sure I
of
trust them. It's weird. It's so
maybe
weird.
they're
You
going to the
know,
same salon or something.
mate, possibly, is possibly. So do you want to have a guess? Should we have a guess the team for Tuesday night? Dibble in goal, obviously. Three at the
Mm.
back, Tunnicliffe, Bird,
I thought Obi was
Yeah.
excellent yesterday.
Yeah, yeah.
and
You
Obi.
saw
Yes,
After a bit of a
Obi.
shaky first 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Mm.
but then after that, he was absolutely fine.
Mm.
Obi gets
yeah.
a lot of criticism, really, but he does. Before he generally he won every header and that kind of thing, but he just took it up a notch. took it up a notch. I thought
He stands out though, doesn't he? He stands
Yeah.
out, and those players that stand out for whatever reason, whether it's look, size, whatever, they stand out, and fans make a very quick opinion of them because their eyes are naturally drawn to them. I feel like sometimes that genuinely can be the case in terms of certain players. I felt it with Zach because Zach was skinny looking sort of young lad for the league. I think opinions are made of him almost before he's kicked a football in anger. And I think the same with players like Obi, in a way. He doesn't always look the most graceful on the field, but you see him up close and he's just an absolute unit, really. And I think yesterday he did really well, especially in that first half where I thought Spencer was a real handful. I thought for the centre halves, and I thought Obi stood up to it really well in the end. Even if his confidence is maybe not quite high enough for him to play some of the passes that you can see the management team want him to do. But I get that because he's made a couple of individual errors and therefore he might not be at that optimum in terms of confidence levels. But I guess it's up to us as fans to sort of try and get behind the lad and not sort of crucify him.
absolutely,
I
because
agree
we're,
with
we're
that.
great at crucifying players and stuff. If we can wrap the game yesterday up, I just want to mention there were a couple of chances for Curzon in the last couple of dying minutes, where Dibble dropped a right clanger and the guy just belted it over. Nick, what did you think? Nick Hatton, what did you think?
Partly that was due to the conditions. I don't know how much you could tell
Yeah,
on the videos, but it was it was raining consistently throughout the game. Not overly heavy, but enough to. If Dan will say that's a sort of goalkeeper's nightmare. Those sort of balls that are whipped in that bounce just in front of you. I know Dan won't have made an error like Dibble did yesterday, but
I'd have jumped over it probably. It was back of the net, knowing me. So
but yeah, I mean, but we've seen that before, haven't we?
Yeah.
From Dibble as well at times. But I mean, luckily the conditions kind of helped Kiddie as well because the guy who was on the end of it slipped as he tried to finish it.
absolutely.
Murray's been saying, hasn't he, that we get punished for every mistake we've kind of been making, whereas I think that was probably the first time yesterday this season that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Just want to very quickly mention, actually, just before the stroke of half time, you talk about football sometimes being played in moments and key moments. Dibble makes a really big save just before
Yes.
half time. That if that goes in, all momentum sucked out of what has effectively been a dire first half from us anyway. But he keeps that out, and then naturally we go on to go and win the game. So sometimes keepers, it's the mistakes that you remember, but actually he made a save just before the stroke of half time that really kept us in the game at that point.
We deserved a bit of luck anyway, I think. I've just put up the results from yesterday on the screen. Filed 1-1 against Bedford. You would have thought Fylde might have scored more, but there you go. Telford smashing Spennymoor 3-0. Curzon Ashton obviously losing to Harriers because we're amazing. 1-0. Hereford finally winning the game. Well done, Hereford. Williams got 2. Does anyone know anything about Williams?
He pretty much seems to be one of their very few goal scorers. He seems to be quite regular when I check the Hereford scores over the last probably 12 months.
Okay.
Andy Williams, I think his name is.
He scored 2 for Kings Lynn as well, by the looks of it. So he's had a really good game.
Sign
He
him
was
up.
everywhere yesterday. He was everywhere. Kings Lynn, oh God, 4-0. Jeez,
Yeah.
Louise. They beat Merthyr. I mean, is that come down to earth with a boom or what for Merthyr? Merthyr Town, who were top of the league. What was that? 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And Reese didn't score either, which is a rarity. They must have
It
scratched
is.
their heads on the way home.
It was. I quickly watched the highlights before we came on, and
Yeah.
Merthyr just looked terrible. Looked really, really, really. I don't think they had a chance. Maybe one chance, but Kings Lynn, they could have won 6 or 7. To be honest,
Nick, sorry to interrupt you. I don't know if I'm missing something. Didn't Giassi score 2 goals on my Sky
He
Sports?
scored
It
the
said
first,
Giassi
yeah.
scored both.
Yeah, there was the first one was a really good run from him. He literally went straight through the Merthyr defence and scored. And then second was a 1-on-1, which he basically sat the keeper down. It was a nice little bit. Did him with the
Wow.
eyes. Did him with the eyes.
Yeah,
And
brilliant.
so he's going to be a real danger man, I think, on Tuesday night.
So what, Nick? You're calling foul there. Williams, there wasn't.
Yeah,
Williams.
that's what I mean.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's fine, it's fine. They got the score right. At least Leamington. Well, Leamington beat Chorley 1-0. This league is mad. Do you know at the beginning of the season, you forget just how mad this league is, and then 5-6 games in, you're thinking, no, this league's mad. Macclesfield beat Darlington 2-1, which is great. A great result for Macclesfield, I think. Darlington, will they be there or thereabouts? Do you think playoff wise? Do you think at the end of the season, Nick Hatton? What do you reckon?
Maybe just on the outskirts. possibly. I don't know. I think we keep saying how strong this division is. Maybe just outside the top seven. I think.
Marine nil, Peterborough Sports 1. Peterborough Sports finally winning the game. We're playing them on the 4th of October. I'll be there. It's my closest game, so that's good. Oh, Oxford City getting smashed by Radcliffe 5-1. Hang on a minute. Who scored the 5th goal? Clegg got 4. No, 3. Who got the other 2? Terrible, this app. I'm not using this again. Scarborough, Walker
Probably
scored.
Williams got the others.
Probably. He absolutely did. Scarborough smashing South. Well, so I say smashing. I've watched the highlights on Sea Dogs on Tour. They do a vlog, which is great. So you should go and watch that. Scarborough winning 2-0. Scarborough, man. That just goes to show how good our 1-0 win against Scarborough at the opening day of the season is. And also shows how well you can get on if you've got a really big team. Isn't that right, Nick Tornig?
Oh, as in a physically big team.
Yeah.
Sorry, I see what you mean. Yeah, I mean Walker for them is pretty much exclusively their goal scorer at the moment. I think that might have taken him to 5 or 6 league goals. I think he's
7.
only second to, is it 7 now? So I
Yeah.
think he's maybe second or joint top scorer with the aforementioned Giassi at Kingsley. And so, I mean, look, this league is a difficult one. We all know that. I think one thing Scarborough maybe latched onto is, if you can really get a solid number 9 that scores goals that you can play off and can keep you up the pitch, you've got half, and you can defend, you've got half a chance. And if they're keeping clean sheets and Walker continues to score goals, they'll be there or thereabouts. But if Walker gets an injury, if he continues to score at the rate he does, he won't be there in January anyway because someone will take him.
Yeah.
Then let's see, given their I guess financial situation, will they have a strong enough squad to retain this sort of form for the course? But look, at the minute, you can only say fair play to them. And like one of the guys just said, then makes our performance and victory on the first game of the season a good one. Their set pieces stuck out for me as being phenomenally good, very consistent, very good set pieces from corners. And if they can keep that going in this league, you're going to get a lot of points if you can put the ball in the net from corners.
I think you've just summed up the difficulty of playing at this level. Is you start strong in this league. By January, you've lost half your team, and it's a very real.
True.
It's a real thing. I mean, there was a few years ago, I think it was Mark Yates as manager, and we were flying, by January. I can't remember what year that was. And then he went to Cheltenham, and we lost half of our players kind of sporadically around the league, and we ended up, I think we finished outside of the playoffs. So I think that is kind of one of the big issues. Playing at this level is if you do start really strong, you do end up in a position where you could lose your players come January.
Absolutely. All right, South Shields against Buxton 2-2. I don't know. Is that a bad result for both of them, or is it a good result for Buxton? I don't know.
It's a great result for South Shields, Wes, because Buxton were 2-0 up, and then they had a player sent off, and South Shields came back to draw the game. So I think South Shields would be almost feeling as that one, it's retained their unbeaten record this season. Yeah. Yes, they've now conceded two more goals. I think they conceded 1 going into that game. But I think if you look at the time they scored 86 minutes, that's going to probably feel like a victory. Admittedly, they're against 10 men. Yeah. Just keeps that momentum and that that unbeaten run going for South Shields. So I think they'll feel really like that's a victory. And I think Buxton, just given the nature of it, will almost feel like a bit of a defeat in the end.
Worksop Town 2, Chester 1, which I thought was a game of the day, to be honest with you. Look, as we say, everyone can beat everyone in this league. They really can. Waterfall getting another goal there. A Chester fan, Nick sent me something I shared in the group. Chester fan, Nick Hatton, so enraged he was that he managed to get his way into the away dressing room and start a fracas with some of the players. So he's banned. That actually happened.
Yeah, no, I saw that. I mean, you've got to have some to sort of storm into a room full of 24, 25 grown men and have a right go. I mean, you've got to be angry.
That's only the people of Chester are doing that. That's pretty important.
I don't get that though. Chester as a place is known for being quite a middle class. Yeah. I've been to Chester. I've been out in Chester a few times, worked there a bit, and it's a nice place, but they seem to have this kind of reputation for this kind of unsavoury behaviour, which surprises me given the nature of the place.
But it's where it sits, isn't it? It's Liverpool meets Warrington, it's that area up there. They're very real, the people up there.
Can't all be from Oxford, Dan. Can't we all
No,
live in
no.
Oxford? I mean,
That's
Bloody
true.
hell. Bloody
Well,
damn.
I know the area quite well, and I think that the people are kind of salt of the earth, and they're great people, but they wear their hearts on their sleeve up there. And I guess what we've seen is one of the things that can happen when you're that
yeah.
worked up. So
It's also a fan-owned club as well, isn't it? So I
Yeah.
think there are other ways that you could get a message across, like
you
you're
call
terrible.
rank, yeah,
Yeah, rather than just storming like it's
yeah, yeah.
Normandy or whatever. I just want to make one more point about yesterday. The lack of noise from the fans was a bit of a worry. Now, I don't know where the pyro crew were, but they weren't in Curzon yesterday. And although I've been like, oh, no pyro, blah, 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 and they've been like, no pyro, no party, they're absolutely correct. There was no noise at all from the Harriers fans. Well, there's a little bit, but not a lot. I just hope that comes back, that noise. I really do. Anyway, let's move on. So, a message from Darren Rogers. Dan, is this Darren you met with the shorts, Darren?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
So he said he left his car on charge at a garage about a mile or two
That's all right.
from the ground today, yesterday. Harry's fans in the car next to us, I didn't know them, gave us a lift to the ground and back after in the rain. Didn't get their names, but want to say a big thank you to them. And I thought that's lovely. I thought that deserved a mention tonight. Absolutely did, yeah. So well done to you guys, whoever that was. We also asked for your team of the week: Kings Lynn, Peterborough Sports, Radcliffe, or Worksop. And Little Old Worksop won it, 72% of the
Wow.
votes. That was me. I won that one, yay. They beat Chester and it kicked off entering the away dressing room, as we all know. Nick Hatton, you weren't involved with that, but what team would you have chosen for team of the day yesterday?
I was very impressed with the Leamington results, given
Yeah,
how well Chorley have been playing and the amount of goals that they've been scoring recently. Yeah, I didn't see that one coming at all, which again shows we seem to be beating teams that are pulling up great results later on, aren't they, as well? And yeah, I think that was a good one. And also, yeah, just Kings Lynn is again, it's another eyebrow raising one. They had a couple of players sent off, didn't they, against Chorley?
they
So do we
did.
were they suspended this weekend or will they
No,
be suspended on
it will
Tuesday
be
night?
No,
Tuesday
well,
that they're
Yeah.
tomorrow.
suspended.
Surely
So that's
it's
gonna,
Tuesday.
yeah, it'll be Tuesday it starts because it's the two-game ban that follows the next game, doesn't it?
Their
Immediate.
manager got sent off yesterday as well, so I'm guessing he will be in the dugout for our game. I think it's James Rowe.
James Rowe, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but he'll be missing the game after that, so I think he will be in the dugout for us. But I did hear he got sent off yesterday.
Any more thoughts on anything, boys? We've got any of the business. That's the last thing I want to talk about, which will be on the way shortly. But we've got a bit of time. So, Nick Hatton, talk to us. Have you got anything else in the pipeline?
I'm yeah, I
Just
mean,
more of these, really.
yeah,
Just more of these, I imagine.
just more Harriers chat, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Just on yesterday's game, just as I deliberately sat behind our dugout yesterday, and I found it fascinating listening to Adam Murray and how incessant he is with instruction. And a part of me just got to thinking, I wonder what would happen if we just left the players to it for 10 minutes.
I thought exactly the same, Nick.
Really?
Exactly.
What?
I thought exactly the same.
Yeah. It was just constant telling everybody where to be.
Yeah.
There was I can't remember which player it was. It might be Jack Clark to open his body up at certain points. Seb Thompson was getting a lot of not ear bashing, but being told where to be. That was my big takeaway really from yesterday. Just how much he tells the players what to do, and I just wonder.
Yeah.
To a degree, how productive that is.
Was that straight away for the beginning of the game, though? Or did
Oh,
he give
yeah.
it like,
Yeah.
was it?
Minute one.
Yeah.
Minute one.
Maybe it's the instructions he's given them and they're not following it. He's just getting annoyed.
But I get your point, Nick. Totally. In a corporate world, it's a micromanager, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like that. That's what I thought of yesterday. That's the analogy I'd have. It is
Play with freedom.
No
is the
freedom.
expression, isn't it? That's the expression, and I felt like it wasn't. Not allowed is probably the wrong phrase to use, but as soon as somebody got the ball, they were almost told where to play it, that kind of thing. And obviously he made the changes that won us the game in the end. But I just kind of think, how productive is it to be constantly? And he said himself, he's an overthinker, and we've seen it so many times with the changes that he made from match to match. I just wonder, I don't know. Obviously we can't do it as an experiment, but 10 minutes,
Well,
15 minutes, just sit on the bench. Remember Graham Allner? Graham Allner barely said a word
Yeah.
during matches.
True.
He never said, he just sat there. And we,
Yeah.
we won the league. So, let's
Twice.
see
I
what
do
happens.
wonder.
No, once.
I do wonder if what we're seeing here is a symptom of the performance and the team not playing in the way that Adam Murray is wanting them to play. I totally agree with you. It feels like micromanagement, but I do wonder if, as things start to gel and if the performances do start to improve, he will calm down a bit and he will start to be a bit quieter on the side of the pitch. But I mean, there was an interview with Adam Murray, wasn't there, midweek, and I just felt a bit bad for him. I sort of feel like I think I think we sort of talked about it. Sorry, this is a bit disjointed, but we talked about it last week where we sort of said, do we have players that aren't used to playing in front of big crowds, a big club, with a very vocal support and quite a critical support at times as well? We have our moments of certainly being critical. And is he feeling that as well? I think it was you, Tornick, who raised that and said, we do also have to take into account that the manager might not be used to this. And maybe that's kind of part of what we're seeing with he's not used to being hit with the wall of sound that you get, not just during the game, but after the game as well as being, involved with the club. And maybe this is all feeding into the way he's feeling and behaving on the side of the pitch. But I do wonder if results do start to come, things will calm down and he will calm down. It was good to see him put a team out that wasn't changed, which, okay, the changes came quite quickly at 30 minutes, but the starting 11 is starting to feel a bit more settled. I suspect there'll be changes against Kings Lynn, but I feel like he is starting to sort of settle into his role and settle into the club, and but we'll see what happens.
Right.
On the
Any other business? So let's start with Tornick. Sorry, Nick, your name's now Tornick for this.
Yeah, I mean, if I was obese, would you call me Fat Nick?
Absolutely. Let's start with Fatty Nick.
So yeah, I think look, I just want to carry on a little bit before I go into my one piece of AOB on Nick and Dan's point around sort of body language and I guess just general vibe from the dugout. At times it looked a little bit panicky. Certainly first, I get that because we were struggling in the game, but I think at one point I heard Jordan Tunnicliffe scream, or no, I heard Murray scream to Tunnicliffe, get him going, Tunny.
Yeah.
It looked quite panicked. He was quite often just turning around. He looked so almost just frustrated. And I think sometimes when you've got a player, look, Murray can still play a bit. I've mentioned this on the previous podcast. You can see in some clips online. He's still a bit of a baller, and he was a really good player in his day. And I think sometimes those types of managers do get that extra level of frustration. Those that have been at a really decent level in the game, because they're like, why can't the players do what I'm asking them to do? But then you have to remember that these players are at this level because they maybe can't do what is needed consistently over a 46 game period. And I did notice he was quite frustrated. One last thing on the Murray body language, being closer up, I didn't notice him really ever praise the players. There was lots of dictation, to your point, Nick, around exactly what he wants every player to almost be doing second by second. But there was very little kind of sort of positivity that I got from the bench. Which is one thing I noticed. My only bit of AOB really is more of a question really for the comments for the other fans at the club. Last season we had it 3 or 4 times. Phil mentioned it. Other opposing managers saying that's the best team we've played in the league, or that's the team that's going to go on and win. I'll be astonished if that team doesn't win the league. When do we think an opposing manager is going to say that about this team?
If they do,
stick your comments in the below. Yeah, that's what I'd like the fans to sort of think. Ultimately, when do we think it's going to get pieced together? Do we think it's going to get pieced together? And how long till that comes? Because I know we didn't win the league in the end because of that one final game.
yeah.
But other clubs were seeing signs that we were getting close to, or we were going to deliver that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my question to the fans. Cheers,
Okay,
guys.
So here we go then. Dan, you've got 30 seconds for your any other business. Can you do it? I'm counting.
Yes, I can, but I'm actually just going to quickly nip back to Nick talking about Adam Murray. It was just one thing that they said on Hereford and Worcester. I'm going to be quick. So on Hereford and Worcester, they said that when they come to do their post-game interview, he needs a few minutes to calm down, and he seems to take himself away from everything to allow himself to calm down before he then gives his interview. So that's all I'm going to say is he clearly gets very, very into the game, gets very worked up during the games. I think it will calm down. I think it's a new club. Everything's new to him. And I think when everything else settles, we'll see Adam Murray settle. That's all I want to say.
Was that your any other business?
Yeah, pretty much.
Thank you so much. Nick Hatton, former
Uh,
neighbour of mine,
Former neighbour of yours.
former Moston Rangers. Well, I played for them. You played for them. Dan played for them as well. Very
Yeah.
exciting. Nick, do you ever play for Moston Rangers?
No,
Briefly,
No,
briefly.
not you. Other
Dan
Nick.
was
I
my.
can't call him Tall Nick now because he doesn't like it. So other Nick now, but it's not.
I didn't play for Moston, but I did play against Moston Rangers back in my, I guess, childhood days. So yeah, aware of them for sure. Seems like they had a fairly what would now be, I imagine, a decent vets team.
Yes. Well, me and Nick actually, Nick Hatton, we actually played in the same team, didn't we, Nick?
We
So,
did. We did.
Brilliant.
I was your deputy at times. Well,
yes.
once. Dan was keeping me in defence.
I love that. I love that. So Nick, anyway, any other business? Go for it.
Phil Brown clearly does not
Oh, yeah.
get on too well with Richard Lane and Dean Holdsworth. I don't know if anybody caught fighting talk on
Yeah.
Saturday, but the last question on it was about who would you never like to speak to again, and he basically said Richard Lane, Dean Holdsworth, got sick of the sight of him, whatever. 12 wins out of 14, got the sack, didn't deserve it.
Should have won 13,
Yeah,
mate.
pretty bitter.
14.
But if he'd have won 13 out of 14,
Yeah.
he'd have kept his job. So
If we beat Rushall, if we beat Warrington. Anyway, don't matter. I want to talk about it. But Nick, thank you so much for coming on. Did you enjoy it tonight?
pleasure. It's always an insight Wes watching it, so it's even better being part of it.
Hey, there you go. We love that. Harry the Harrier won the mascot race, by the way, in Worcester, just in case anyone missed that. We also think, well, I can't say it because it'll ruin it, but yeah, the fastest kid alive was probably being Harry the Harrier yesterday. So that was nice. I had so many nice comments yesterday at Curzon Ashton. So shouts out to Citrus Lee, Willem or Billy, and Pat, the former Wolves fan, who said, once I came to the Harriers on that bank holiday Monday, I never went back to Wolves, and I thought that's really nice. So everyone else who gave the nice comments as well, that was brilliant. Big news, boys! Big news. The podcast has hit 3,000 watched hours yesterday, which is such a massive milestone. So thank you to everyone who's watched and continued and contributed, whether a like, a comment, or sharing, or subscribing, which we really want you to do. We do it for you anyway. We love doing it on a Sunday because it's a bit like what would you say? It's our therapy
session. A therapy session.
That's what it is, definitely. So tomorrow night we have an interview with Noah from King's Lynn. He's a King's Lynn commentator, and I might be doing the commentary with Noah on a Tuesday night.
Don't let that put you off. Still tune in.
Oh, we've got professional Nick now. But bear in mind that I used to do that commentary before Nick Hatton even thought about it. He wanted to be a commentator back in the day. Is that right,
Didn't
Nick?
you commentate on Jesper Christensen's only ever goal for Harriers? I seem to remember.
Do you know what, did I? Yeah, I
think you
did.
might have done.
Ooh, did I? I don't remember. I remember
seem to remember.
Sean. Who was it? Sean did the worm. I remember him doing the worm. That was probably one of the highlights. I would have thought of that.
Sean Parrish? Was it
Sean Parrish, yeah.
Yes, he did the worm. It was amazing. So Nick, sorry, are you? Is that you and the commentary over at Harriers for the moment? Do you think?
Possibly. I mean, it's not a Harriers thing, to be honest. Harriers don't have anything to do with who does anything on DAZN or whatever. So the production company who did it previous 2 seasons, DAZN, have now basically taken total control of it, and I think basically they're using BBC or the local club commentators. So unless I can elbow my way in somewhere, for now at least, it's not going to happen. But I don't mind. It was great doing it as a fan to commentate. It was a great experience. But
Just
yeah,
the same
a season commentating on relegation is not advisable.
That's what I was going to say. It's a shame it was the worst season ever. But Nick, thank you so much for coming on, Nick Hatton.
Pleasure.
You could catch him on your podcast. Do you want to give it a little shout out? You got 10 seconds.
Yeah, Kitty Massive everywhere we go. I haven't got any guests lined up at the moment. Conversations are ongoing, so keep an eye on X, and I will post on there when we get something sorted.
Perfect. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that. Dan, thank you so much for coming on, mate. You did excellent tonight. And the other Nick, who seems to be upset, according to Nick, even though that's what you are. Yeah, thank you so much for that, buddy. So if you could like and subscribe, that would be incredible. We'd love that, and it'd be brilliant to see you on Tuesday night if you're going. So thank you so much, and thank you guys, and we'll see you. We'll speak to you really soon.